Let's bring in Michael Arnold now from our research center, TRT World Research Centre. He joins us now from the TRT World Forum in Istanbul. Michael, good to see you. So we heard Adam talk about some of the pledges of reforms by Prime Minister Said Hariri. The question is it going to be enough to quell the anger on the streets?
Well, I think, Ali Jan, as Adam pointed out, it's already seems clear that a significant amount of the protesters, reject the promises that were made in Hariri's speech. And I think that this gets at one of the key issues that we're seeing develop here is that the political class, which of course is the target of the protesters, has sort of come out to try to get ahead of this, right? So we've seen the President Mishal Aoun speak to how he understands the protesters' demands. Hariri, of course, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in the previous days. And so I think, what we're seeing here is they're trying to deploy their positions to make sure that, they have some sort of aspect of this protest and they show themselves being on side of the people in this scenario. I think something to keep in mind here is we still have tens of thousands of people out on the street. Yesterday we saw perhaps more, but there's still a large number of Lebanese who are loyal to these political classes and to the parties who have not yet been mobilized. And so it remains a question of whether or not these political leaders will actually be able to or want to mobilize their loyal followers to come out into the street.
Michael, I mean, you said that the leadership was trying to sort of get ahead of this crisis, but on the flip side, one could argue that the government has scrambled to respond to these mass protests in coming out so late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely, I think the protests caught them off guard. There's no doubt about that. And I think what is most striking about these protests, and probably what is most concerning for the political class in Lebanon, is that so far they appear to be cross-sectarian. This is really significant because what it's demonstrated is the possibility of political action outside the sectarian system in Lebanon. For those who are not as familiar with the sectarian system in Lebanon, it is the core of the system. And in fact, the corruption that the protesters are protesting against is what feeds the clientelism of the system itself. So the fact that you have people from across the sectarian system as well as across the socio-economic spectrum is something that I think is deeply concerning for the political class. And I think at this point there remains a lot of questions of whether what is often referred to as the political economy of sectarianism in Lebanon has reached its dead end or not.
All right, our Michael Arnold live for us at the TRT World Forum in Istanbul. Thank you for joining us.